Hey, our lesson this week involves trig ratios. You probably thought you were done with sine, cosine, and tangent, but not yet. We actually are going to learn their reciprocals this week. So before we do that, let's go over what sine, cosine, and tangent are again, because it's been a while since we've reviewed these. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. And tangent is opposite over adjacent. Remember, you can use so, ka, toa to help you with those ratios. So now we're going to talk about the reciprocals of each one of these. Reciprocal, remember, just means to flip it. So if I have sine, which is opposite over hypotenuse, the reciprocal of that is called the cosecant, and it's represented by the ratio hypotenuse over opposite. The reciprocal of cosine is secant, which is hypotenuse over adjacent. And the reciprocal of tangent is cotangent, which would be adjacent over opposite. So I know I've already said it, but just to clarify, the reciprocal means just to flip it. Okay, so each one of these have been flipped from sine, cosine, and tangent to get cosecant, secant, and cotangent. So now let's take a look at some of your IXL examples involving these ratios. And if you haven't done so, you may want to make sure that you write down those ratios on the first page because you're going to be using them a lot, and you probably don't want to have to be rerunning this video back to the very beginning. So make sure you have those ratios written down to where they're handy and you can easily access them. For this first example, we just need to find the cosine of angle A. So here's angle A, which would mean that 72 would be my side opposite. I know 65 would have to be adjacent. And then 97 is the hypotenuse because it's the longest leg. And remember, hypotenuse is always opposite of your right angle. So they want to find the cosine of angle A. Remember, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So the cosine of angle A, adjacent to A, was 65. And the hypotenuse was 97. So this would be my answer, 65 over 97. And just make sure you can't simplify it. If so, go ahead and simplify it, but this is already simplified. So I would just type in 65 over 97 and submit it. So for this example, we want to find the tangent of angle C. So remember, tangent is opposite over adjacent. And opposite of angle C is 12. And so adjacent would have to be 5. So the tangent of angle C would have to be 12 for opposite. And adjacent was 5. So my answer would just be 12 over 5. Moving on to the next example. Okay, so now we want to find the cotangent of angle U. So let's review what cotangent is. It's just the reciprocal of tangent. So cotangent of an angle is adjacent over opposite. And we are looking at angle U. So here's angle U. I know opposite is 80. And adjacent is 39. So the cotangent of angle U would be 39 for adjacent and 80 for opposite. So my final answer would be 39 over 80. Okay, for this problem, we are finding the cosecant of angle K. So the cosecant is the reciprocal of sine, which would be hypotenuse over opposite. So we're looking at angle K. Opposite would have to be 60, and my hypotenuse would be 68. So the cosecant of angle K would be 68 over 60. But in this case, I could go ahead and simplify it. So I need to go ahead and simplify 68 over 60, which would simplify to 17 over 15. So just be very careful of that. Make sure you simplify those fractions if you can. All right, moving on to the last example. This time I want to find the cosine of angle U. So remember, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, and I'm looking at angle U. So just looking at this, and I can already tell that I don't know the side adjacent, but I do know hypotenuse and opposite. So before I can find the cosine of angle U, I'm going to have to do the Pythagorean Theorem in order to figure out that missing adjacent side. So I would have x squared, we'll just call this side x since it's missing, plus 56 squared equals 65 squared. Okay, so I would do 65 squared minus 56 squared. Which equals 1089. And then I need to take the square root of each side to solve for x. So the square root of 1089 is 33. So that means my adjacent side would have to be 33. So now I can figure out cosine. So cosine of angle U would be adjacent over hypotenuse. And so we figured out adjacent was 33. And the hypotenuse is 65. Okay, so that's already simplified. So that would be my final answer, 33 over 65. All right, hope you guys have a great week. Thanks for watching the tutorial. And if you have any questions, feel free to text or call me, and I will get back to you as quick as I can.